Hey guys, it's me, Lady Hawk. I want to thank you for coming and seeing my channel. This will be the first video of hopefully many, as long as everybody enjoys it. Um, just to kind of give you a download of what I'll be doing. If any of you know me, I love crime shows and murder mysteries and serial killers and everything like that. But I also kind of just like to talk. So I figured I'd make a channel and do some of my own research on some of the most interesting mysteries, interesting crimes all through the United States. I have some that are very graphic and some that are a little bit more timid. Also, I will be discussing current events that happen that I think that need to be discussed, or I have an opinion about, or I want to know everybody else's opinion. So feel free also to go ahead and subscribe and like, and also comment if you want. My email is also at the bottom that is just for you guys, so you guys can message me. Maybe you have some stories or something that maybe you want to talk about on one of the videos. Just let me know and we'll look into it. So, like I stated before, I have some cases that are very graphic in detail, and there are pictures. So this is your warning clause. But for the very first video, I'm kind of going to start off with a more timid, no, it's a murder, but it's not a more not so graphic murder. And I want to know your guys' opinions and everything like that after it's done, and I hope you enjoy it. But let's go ahead and get into this right now, so you guys don't get bored of me already. This is the case of Rebekah Gould. Rebekah Gould was a beautiful, outgoing 22-year-old student from Melbourne, Arkansas, who attended Northwest Arkansas Community College in Bentonville. At this time, her and her sister in 2004 had decided to make the drive home to Melbourne for the weekend to see their family and friends. Well, Rebekah decided after dropping Danielle off, she was going to go stay with her boyfriend, Casey McCall, who lived in a small town, and I don't know if I'm saying it right, called Youn, which is about 17 miles south of Melbourne. But this does not end happy. Danielle said goodbye to her sister, and she would not be knowing that it was the last time she would see her alive. On September 20th, 2004, Rebekah took her boyfriend Casey to work and had planned on going back to his trailer in Vian to pack her suitcases so she could go pick up her sister and then head back to school that Monday. But she never made it. Everybody started worrying and trying to figure out where she was. So on the September 21st, 2004, when Rebekah didn't show back up to get her sister so they could go back to school, police were called to do a welfare check on her. When they arrived, it was eerie. They just knew something was not right because Rebekah's car was still there, but there was no answer at the door. All they could hear was Rebekah's small dog. Now, this dog, she would never just leave unattended. This dog was like her child, okay? And I know we all have or know somebody that has a pet that is like their child. So you know how close and attached you get to them. Well, due to probable cause, the officers entered the trailer. Immediately, they saw that Rebekah's cell phone, her money, and her clothes were still there. So that was extra weird. As they continued during their sweep, they ended up finding bloody sheets and bedding in the laundry, just thrown in the laundry on the floor. Blood spots all throughout the house, and blood all over the master bedroom mattress and the mattress had been flipped over. So obviously something happened here, and they were not aware of what they would find. But this is where things get a little bit weird, okay? So just stick with me, guys. Immediately, the police started looking at her boyfriend, Casey, for Rebekah's disappearance, of course. So when they pulled him in and told him everything, they did, told them that they had gone into the house and everything, he laid down what they did that weekend. They watched movies. They just spent time that weekend with each other. And then the last time he saw her was when she dropped him off at his work earlier the morning of the 20th. Now, later on, surveillance at a little convenience store on the way back from his job would show her at the convenience store still alive. So that was verified. But when he got off work that night, instead of just going straight home, because she wasn't supposed to be there, he went out with a couple friends and didn't come home till the next day. And the only reason he came home was so he could change and go to work in the morning, that morning. But the weird thing is when he entered the trailer, he did not notice anything out of place or weird. Like, how do you not notice blood in your house, or that your girlfriend's car and items are still there when she should be gone and she is nowhere in the house, but yet her car's there? Sounds a little crazy to me, but like I said, his alibi was verified. But anyways, still, I don't believe him when he says he didn't notice anything different. I know I would, and I'm pretty sure all of you guys would, but to each their own. Anyways, then on September 27th, 2004, just a few days after the missing persons report was filed, the Gould family would have a day they would never forget. Just south of Melbourne, down an embankment on Arkansas 9, Rebekah's body was found, wrapped in a blanket. Now, during the autopsy, they found Rebekah had blunt force trauma to her head and strangulation marks to her neck. Police started questioning witnesses around the area to see if anyone had seen anything. Now, one witness that came forward stated that they saw two people in a sedan with Texas plates. Now, remember, this is in Alabama. The sedan drove to an outbuilding in the backyard, they said, where a man stepped out, grabbed a weed eater. They even said that they thought that she knew the man because they saw Rebekah come outside to the back door, and greet him, and then turned and went back into the house. But they never were able to see the second person in the sedan. This breaks my heart, but even with that witness statement, even with knowing that there was foul play, it would take 16 years for police to finally identify the mystery man and chase him down. The man was Casey McCall's cousin, 44-year-old William Miller. Now, William lived in Oregon with his wife and two children. And he was pretty well off and lived a comfortable life because he was bringing home about $25,000 a month. A month, guys. Wish I was bringing home $25,000 a month. And he did this from working in the Philippines, working on oil rigs. It is said later that he would brag about being a king there, and that he owned a huge plantation. Well, they ended up finding William in Texas, where he was visiting his mother. When they interviewed him, he did state the night before Rebekah went missing that he had just come into town to help his mother and his 15-year-old brother move back to Arnes Pass, Texas. The night he arrived in town, he did admit that he stopped by his cousin Casey's house, where they stood outside the trailer for about 15 minutes, and then he left. This is the same night and the same weekend that Rebekah was at the house. He then stated that the following morning, he returned to a pasture kind of sideways from Casey's trailer and to go hunting. And while he was hunting, he decided to go ahead and leave for some odd reason, this is the part that I don't understand, but for some odd reason, he decided to leave his Chevy S10 truck behind the trailer. There, he says he saw two men on the back porch of the trailer. Police asked him to take a polygraph just to verify that his story that he was telling was true. This shows how cocky this man is, how arrogant this man is, because he agreed. He agreed to take the actual test. And guess what? He failed. So when the officer returned to the interrogation room, I really don't know why he would take it and think he was going to pass. He ended up saying something along the lines, "This is ridiculous. We know you are lying. Did you kill Rebekah, or are you covering up for your cousin?" Like, they thought that either he did it and had help, or that he did it alone, or he was covering up for his cousin, her boyfriend, Casey. Finally, on November 7th, 2020, William confessed. And the story he tells just astounds me. So, what he says is on the day of September 20th, 2004, William was out hunting, like he stated, and then he hid the truck in a field behind the trailer. That part was true too. Then, that's when he knocked on the door and Rebekah answered. Now, this is the first time Rebekah and William had ever met, but she remembered him being there the night before with Casey, talking to Casey outside, and he stated that he was Casey's cousin. So she didn't think anything of it. So he then asked if he could borrow the phone. And Rebekah was like, "Yeah, sure, no problem. Come on in." And then, this is weird because he says that she went to go lay back down in the master bedroom. Now, I don't believe that, because what woman would let someone that they just met into a house and go back to sleep? I'm sorry, I'm paranoid or whatever, but I'm not just going to let somebody in my house that I just met and walk away. But on top of that, Casey had even stated that she was planning on going back to the trailer to pack after dropping him off so she could leave, go pick up her sister, and go back to school. So that's where the story I don't quite understand or quite believe. But William says she went back into the room and lay down. Now, all of a sudden, William says he just got this huge, overwhelming urge to come over to him that just like completely washed over him to kill Rebekah. Like, how? Why? Like, who just, I don't understand. How does something like that just come to someone? Like, oh, I'm going to sit here and be on the phone and I look at you and I just want to kill you. Like, who does that? But, like, I don't know. But William states he started pacing back and forth after pretending that he was on the phone to kind of try to figure out what he would do. Then, just at the moment, that exact moment, it was like karma, because at that exact moment, a piano leg fell off of a piano in the living room that was loose. It fell to the floor, and he was like, light bulb, bright idea. He then picks up this piano leg, and if you've seen a piano leg, they're pretty good size and thick, because they have to hold that large piano. He then says he makes his way back to the room where Rebekah is laying down, and her face is facing away from the door. During this time, he even coldly stated she didn't know it was coming. Like, duh, he did not know it was coming. He then walked in and hit her multiple times in the head with the piano leg. He hit this woman so hard that it shattered the piano leg, like into pieces. That's like a lot of strength. Like, I could never even imagine what she was thinking when this happened. He even said that after he had hit her, she laid there and was making this weird gurgling breathing noise. So he just wanted the noise to stop. So he decided to go into the closet and grab a necktie. And that is where he put it around her neck and he strangled Rebekah to death. I can't help, like, that's, oh my God. I can't even understand that. And I can't help but to think maybe she could have lived if he hadn't decided to strangle her. But at the same time, deep down, I know, especially from my experiences working in prisons, that when a person makes what we call the death rattle, it's their last breath. So I don't know if she would have been able to make it if he would have just left her there, because especially since Casey was not coming back that night. So she would have been there all night, just bleeding. And probably with a brain bleed, most likely. But anyways, carrying on before I go into another rant. Now this guy said he then, after he had hit her and strangled her, he placed her on the floor next to the bed and placed her placed her on a sheet next to the side of the bed and wrapped her up. This way he could flip the mattress and take some of her clothes out of the suitcase. Now the reason he took the clothes out of the suitcase, at first I thought was, when I was doing the research, was that, oh, well, he wanted to make it look like she was going to stay there, or that there was a big altercation. But no. This man was going to put her body in the suitcase to transport her body. But he stated it wouldn't fit. It was too small. So instead, he just wrapped her body up and threw her in the bed of his truck. Oh, he then went back into the house to clean up his mess. He said he only took about 15 minutes. And that was to bleach any blood spots he could see, and remove all his DNA off of any surfaces that he touched. The phone, anything that he touched inside the bedroom, door handles, anything like that. After he thought it was all cleaned, he took several of her items, including the suitcase, and drove off. Now this poor young woman's body, just laying in the back of his truck, he drove through town, even right past the police station, which to me is like crazy because there were multiple back roads he could have taken when I looked at the map and where the area was. But it was just like he was parading what he did. It makes me sick. Like, oh, and that nobody could, like, I get it that you can't really see inside of a truck, and especially since he didn't stop anywhere, nobody's going to look inside the truck. But still, like, oh my God. But once he got outside of Melbourne, he decided to throw Rebekah's body on the side of the highway, just like it was trash. He had no regards for her at all. Once he had disposed of her body, he then went to a local car wash where he threw the sheets and the shattered piano leg in the trash. He later would tell them where they could find the suitcase. And I try to find out where he would say it was, but as you know, some parts of cases are not disclosed, and I could not find out where they found the suitcase. But now to show also how messed up this man is and how cocky he is. It is told that he bragged about how he fooled his family, the police, and everyone involved in the case. He would even state this king has been captured because he played a fool's game. It was like a chess game to him. There is something seriously wrong with that person. But on November 8th, 2020, the lead officer obtained an affidavit to have William extradited back to Arkansas, where he was held in the Izard County Jail with no bail. His trial would only last 3 days. The Gould family was approached during this time with a plea deal where William would plead guilty and be sentenced to 40 years with 30-year parole. But the plea could be thrown out if more information was found, proving that he lied about what really happened, or if police uncovered that somebody helped him. They really did believe there was more to this story. Now, what I think is that Rebekah's boyfriend, Casey, got into a fight with her and ended up killing her during the heat of the moment. And William helped hide everything and helped his cousin get away with it. Like, that's what I think. But I don't know. Now, during the trial, the judge said he would make sure that William would serve his whole 40 years. And that when the parole board would meet up to consider him for parole, he himself would write an extensive letter opposing his release. The man sat there, cold, remorseless the entire time. He was slumped in his chair and spoke in a soft voice that was barely audible. Nobody could barely hear him. But during the hearing, he tried stating that I'm a monster. I'm sorry for what I've done. I need to go to prison for what I've done. If I could change it, I would. He even had the guts to say that that day was never far from his mind, which the officials did prove that, because when the cops started looking through his phone, they found pictures of Rebekah's gravestone. Now, how in the world? Because at one point in time, he stated that he never went back to Arkansas since the murder. Somewhere in the interrogation, he had stated that I had found that he never went back to Arkansas. So how did he get this picture of this gravestone when as far as anybody's concerned, he's never met her and nobody knew he did it? So how? But, excuse me. But also on top of it, they also found out the passcode to his phone to get in, 0204. Dude is psycho. Now, at the sentencing, Rebekah's family all had ribbons. They had these nice big ribbons with her picture on them. And they even gave one to the judge, who wore it proudly. During the witness statements or the family impact statements, Rebekah's father, ended up saying that at his daughter's casket, he had promised he would get her justice and find out who did this to her. And even though it took 16 years, he said, well, now I can say I kept my promise. This case is just crazy to me because I'm sorry, I really don't think William acted alone, and I don't think we know the whole story. But at least we have one monster off the streets. So please don't forget to subscribe and like, and there'll be more videos. I'm trying to post them at least once a day, once every other day, and brand new. Like I said, this was a more timid one. But leave your comments also, and let me know what you think about the story, about the case. Like, do you think they have the right guy? Do you think that there's more to it? Or any other thing that you want to put in there. Also, if you know of any other cases you would like me to research, please go ahead and send me an email. Like I said, the email's right below. And until next time, I guess, stay blessed.